ZFunds presents Founders Summit 2026. Media partners CNBC TV 18 and Moneycontrol.
India's wealth management ecosystem is evolving faster than ever before. And at the heart of this transformation stands ZFunds, through its recently concluded ZFunds Annual Founders Summit 2026.
This year, our theme is Beyond Human. Beyond Human is the next layer. It's about doing things that no human team can do alone. It's about knowing every client's portfolio, every moment. Spotting the right conversations at the right time.
ZFunds brought together a select group of industry leaders, entrepreneurs, and wealth creators to shape the future of the financial advisory ecosystem.
हेल्थ और टर्म इंश्योरेंस दोनों मिला के 0.2% ऑफ द इंडस्ट्री था, क्योंकि आज 25% बन गया है। तो मुझे लगा कि जरूरी है और इसमें लोगों को एजुकेट करना चाहिए, और लोग आने लग गए और लोग खरीदने लग गए।
पहली बात तो वॉरेन बफेट का जो सबसे फेमस स्टेटमेंट है ना, वो किस तरीके की कंपनी लेना चाहिए, रिटर्न ऑन इन्वेस्टेड कैपिटल मोर देन कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल, फ्री कैश फ्लो, ऐसा सब स्टेटमेंट फेमस नहीं है। क्या फेमस स्टेटमेंट था इनका? बी ग्रीडी व्हेन अदर्स आर फेयरफुल, बी फेयरफुल व्हेन अदर्स आर ग्रीडी। आप समझ गए ना, ये बात तो शेयर बाजार को लेकर के बात किया है। शेयर बाजार अर्थशास्त्र का ही टॉपिक है, लेकिन उन्होंने शेयर बाजार का डिस्कशन करने में भी ये देखा है कि दूसरों का मूड देख के डिसाइड करो तुमको क्या करना चाहिए। आप समझे कि कामयाब निवेशक होने के लिए अपनी गिनती अदर्स में नहीं होनी चाहिए। सिंपल है ना। सो इक्विटी, ऐसा बोलते हैं, इक्विटी इज़ फॉर ऑप्टिमिस्ट्स, इक्विटी इज़ अबाउट एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप, करेक्ट। सो खराब टाइम जब ही है, all the brownies are for investing when there is uncertainty. All the brownies are for investing because there are clouds. Okay? और ये सब का मतलब ये नहीं कि कल जाके जंप मारने गए। 3-6 महीना रहेगा ऐसा। जितना टाइम ऐसा रहेगा उतना आगे ज़्यादा रिटर्न बनेगा। So your challenge is that next 3 to 6 months how to keep patience and how to keep investing gradually. Don't draw any conclusion.
This is what we've developed. We've developed ZIVA, AI for very, very serious wealth managers.
नमस्ते, मैं आपकी मदद के लिए तैयार हूँ।
At the ZFunds Annual Founders Summit 2026, the future arrived with the unveiling of ZIVA, ZFunds AI-powered intelligent assistant built for the next generation of wealth managers. Designed specifically for mutual fund distributors and wealth managers, ZIVA combines research intelligence, portfolio insights, client communication, and workflow automation into one powerful AI ecosystem. From faster portfolio reviews to personalized investor engagement and multilingual support, ZIVA aims to help mutual fund distributors scale smarter, respond faster, and build stronger investor relationships in an increasing digital world.
We launched ZIVA with only one objective, and that was to strengthen wealth managers' relationship with their customers. If you see, there was an era of personalization, which was till 2015. Till 2025 was the era of scale. Now is the era of personalization at scale. This can happen only through an AI platform, and that is what ZIVA offers.
With ZIVA, you can think that every individual independent wealth manager and MFD now have a large team at their back. They can automate workflows. They can simply get very, very professional looking proposals, portfolio analysis, even training. They can actually do a mock call with the AI.
The two-day summit had an engaging mix of keynote addresses, fireside conversations, masterclass sessions, and future-focused panel discussions, exploring everything from investor behavior and scalable growth strategies to the changing role of technology and AI in wealth management.
Today, I think we are in a moment in time where the relationship between humans and technology is really undergoing a big shift. We have a panel of eminent leaders here today, building in the AI space, also investing in the AI space. So let's hear a little bit about, how we are changing, how the technology is changing, and understand what we all can do to really get ahead on this tech curve. Mridul, coming to you first, you've of course seen many, many technology cycles from SaaS to fintech, consumer internet. You know, every tech cycle has its ups and downs, has its pros and cons. How is this whole artificial intelligence technology cycle different from all tech cycles that we've seen before? Because something seems to be fundamentally shifting, right?
The lens with which the audience here should really think about AI is that, you know, it's like that Red Bull ad. It's like it gives you wings. I think it's really an enabler for you all to really multiply what you can do in your business and in your lives. You know, we've had many platform shifts. Of course, AI feels different. We are living through it. It feels very real. And obviously, it's a big, big change. But if you go back in time, you know, PCs was a platform shift. Like, who would imagine computers doing what was, you know, happening in physical files? I also feel like we are all very resilient beings, and we'll all learn it. So I would not think of it, I mean, I would think of it as a big shift, but I would not worry about it. I would not fear about it. I would embrace it with open arms. I would learn about it, but I would really think about how it becomes a force multiplier in your lives. And we can talk through those case studies or examples of companies and people doing it as we talk through. But I would put a very, very positive flip on what AI can be.
Right. And Tushar, you're of course building in the AI space. Tell us first, very simply, what AtLabs AI is all about.
It started with a very simple idea. I had an idea. I wanted to make a video. It was a storytelling video, and I used all the Gen AI tools to make one video. I posted it on YouTube. It got like more than 10,000 likes. And like, it was just insane. Within a week, I got like 100K views. So I thought, you know, this is very good. I will generate thousands of videos and create passive income on YouTube. Let me automate this stuff. So that's how we created a platform to create any kind of video from an idea. And now it's an end-to-end AI creative suite.
Wonderful, wonderful to hear that. So all of us can go back and create video content today using AtLabs. Yes. One thing we are seeing now is that, you know, AI products are becoming very, very autonomous, super intelligent. Consumers are no longer using this as software or technology. They are actually interacting with very intelligent systems. So now, as you see this whole consumer behavior changing, how does that impact you as a founder? Does it change the way you build a product?
The fundamental shift that has come in the age of AI is that earlier we used to build for doers. Like, you know, I want to do something. Now we are building for reviewers. Like, you know, you wanted to do something, AI will give you some output. So the fundamental shift is we are building product for, like, it's review first. Like, AI will do the job, then the human will review it and make the edits. So this is one fundamental shift, that we are doing less and reviewing more. Like in all aspects of our own life also. Like earlier, you know, we used to write code. Now we just, you know, we say, do this for me. And it spits out an output, and then just go through and review the code. Like, you know, if AI will send you a message, send this to your client, you will just review it now. So like the fundamental shift is we are not building for doers, now we are building for reviewers, and human layer is that reviewer layer that is being built on top.
Right. And Nimish, bringing you in as well, give us a sense of what True Fan AI is all about. How did you start? What are you building today?
We actually started pre-AI. We were actually building our kind of own video foundation model. Why? Very simple reason. So, we started as a little bit of on the consumer side of business, where we said that, look, there are all these sort of fans in the country who love their celebrities, right? And celebrities were aspirational but not accessible. So we said that, look, could we build a technology? And, I'm saying the word technology, not AI, because, back in 2020s, this was just technology. And we said, can we build a technology that if I get 5 minutes of a celebrity once, I record their face and then their voice, and after that, I kind of physically remove them from equation, and then still scale videos for like large formats. Today, what we do is we powered AI, AI-based communications for large enterprises. We're obviously at a mutual fund conference, so as a company, we work with more than 30 BFSI clients, all the big houses, HDFC, Bajaj Finance, etc. And any communication that you do, whether you do to your customers or your dealers or your agents, your distributors, all of that which was fundamentally a lot text-based is now changed into personalized video in their own language. So, we ourselves are frankly surprised. I mean, as a company, we've done about 2 crore individual videos in 1 year. In AI, there's always a debate about what is experimental, what is real, is it really adding the ROI for the future? And what we have learned is that, think about India as a large country. We have so many languages, so many states, so many different people. No two people, are same fundamentally. And then if you communicate them into one language, into a text, versus you communicate them into a video with a face they can resemble, with a voice they know, in their own language, akin to that, the sort of enablement engagement that we see is, more than 30 to 60%.
But from an enterprise perspective, now if all businesses, let's say all mutual fund distributors, have access to the same kind of AI technology, how are they going to be different from each other?
Yeah, no, I think it's a very pertinent question. It's a question you should all be thinking about. We all think about when we make our investment decisions. I mean, will I lose my job, for example? Can a cloud do that? And I think it comes back to few simple truths in my experience. I think one is investing and money is very psychological. It's not just science, it's not just formulas, it's not just algorithms, it's not just AI. I think managing money and trusting someone with managing their money is a very, very deeply psychological decision. It requires a relationship to be built. It requires a trust to be earned. It is true for ZFunds as they build relationships with you. It's true for you as you build relationships with clients. And I don't think that's going away. The way I would think of this is almost to think of your business as you are, maybe you are a group of entrepreneurs, maybe you are solo entrepreneurs, most of you are solo entrepreneurs, of saying, if I was today, in fact, I think it's really powerful for all of you, because today you can have an army of AI agents, which traditionally or typically only an enterprise will have access to, right? So could you actually run your shop like a 361 would, because you have power of technology with you? And can ZFunds enable it? I think ZIVA is a very powerful tool which was launched yesterday.
Let's shift gears for the final 5 minutes of the conversation and talk about the future. So let's imagine we are at the ZFunds Founders Summit 4 years from now, 2030. How do you think AI has changed your life?
Our lives, or people who are here, their lives? My agent will be here, I won't be here, first of all. My agent will be doing the panel with you. I think hopefully it's all of us being more productive, more happy, more meaningfully occupied in what gives us joy and happiness. I think
4 years down the line, I assume that, most fundamental technologies actually become invisible in background, right? So you don't think about the technology. You don't need to kind of worry about them. It's like, you almost know that internet is going to always work, electricity is going to almost always work. And I feel we're obviously going to get far more productive, far better in our work, life, everything else. And I'd hope that we don't need to talk about the word AI anymore. It's more of, a default setting in our lives.
I think AI will become more human. We will interact more. We will trust it more in every aspect.
ZFunds presents Founders Summit 2026. Media partners CNBC TV 18 and Moneycontrol.
The ZFunds Annual Founders Summit 2026 served as a platform for an immersive exchange of ideas, insights and innovation. From market insights to growth strategies to understanding how to navigate market volatility, every session was designed for leaders driving India's investment journey forward. The summit also recognized and honored the partners shaping India's investment journey.
I think the starting point for all wealth managers first should be to run AI to understand your entire client base and what are the opportunities, what are the threats, what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses.
NASSCOM का डेटा दिखला रहा है that 30% of Indian workers, 30% of Indian white collar workers are AI ready. ये दुनिया में सबसे हाई प्रोपोर्शन है. किसी और देश में 30% वर्कर्स AI रेडी नहीं है. इसमें कोई दो राय नहीं है कि हम AI की तरफ जा रहे हैं.
our relationship with the product is still one of caution. And that's why information we are able to get from AI, but basis that information, the next step of actually acting on it is, I think, something that still requires the human angle and will require the human angle even 10 to 15 years from now, specifically in a market like India.
So if you look at today's event, it talks about being future ready. So I think ZFund, when it started as a concept, it was a futuristic concept, being completely digital, trying to empower millions of Indian customers through partners like they onboard on a regular basis. So I think ZFund is all about futuristic, and that's make them really exciting.
We are here joined by some of the eminent minds of the field, and we are going to be talking about what are some of the better strategies that we can have in this day and age for navigating market volatility. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us here today. And perhaps to open the conversation, Mitul, if I can start with you, what do you think when it comes to market volatility? How much of it is driven by fundamentals, geopolitics, and all of the external factors versus investor behavior today?
It's very difficult to put a percentage there, but volatility is generally driven by macro as well as sentiment. Sentiment is like that beta. So if the volatility was supposed to be 1%, there will be beta which will make it either 3%, 5%, or sometimes less than 1%.
How do you communicate a very coherent and a long-term equity case to clients? And today, what are some of the top communication strategies that you live with?
Sure. So the key is to look beyond the broad noise, right? We have seen a Russia-Ukraine war. It's now 4 years. Everything is back to normal for us. Crude went to $120, it went to $60. Life is normal, right? Now we are seeing a West Asia war. Again, we have seen a spike in crude price. So what matters in geopolitical factors, we need to see that, and how durable are these risks, we need to identify and communicate. So one has to look at beyond noise and create a communication which is more facts driven and give more comfort to the clients.
All right, building on that, Dhrumil, now that's hard to do, right? What Mayur is saying, that it's perhaps one of the hardest things in investing to know what is short-term noise and what actually will have a long-term impact. What is a real warning signal and how should you communicate that to your clients? Over the years, what are some of the simple rules or indicators that you've learned to spot and you've learned to identify as real warning signals?
Yeah, it's really interesting to differentiate what is a short-term signal and when that short-term signal become a little longer trend. If we just refresh our memory a few years back, in 2019, when suddenly somewhere in China, COVID erupted. Initially, probably in 2-3 months, that was considered as probably a short-term noise, which will be kind of passed through, and there won't be any big event in the world the way we have seen. But suddenly, when you were in 2020, sometime in the month of Feb, March, that signal became very strong. And we could realize that something big is going to happen. And eventually, sometime in the month of March and April, we saw a complete lockdown in India. So the important thing is to track that small signals so closely and to see that that's, small noise, if it becomes a big signal for some major reversal of the market. So it's a constant tracking of so many macros, so many, noise, and eventually one of that noise can become a really big signal for the market.
Now, investors often in volatile times especially assume that, all the funds in the same category are likely to perform in a similar manner. Now, that's not always true, as your research on balanced advantage funds and multi-asset allocation funds has really revealed. So give us a sense of some of those findings and what are the various parameters that affect the performance of a fund or different funds within the same category, and how should you communicate some of this, finer nuance to a client without overwhelming them?
Thank you, Mridul. So like you mentioned, categories like balanced advantage fund and multi-asset allocation fund. I strongly believe that when you mix various asset classes, so there is a chemistry. So if you buy, let's say, 70% equity versus 30% equity, and you create a combination of 70 equity and 10% gold versus 30 equity and 20% gold. Now both these asset classes with different combination will react very differently. So, like in my previous organization, I used to head product strategy. So when we create a product in an asset management company, we have a investor image in mind, that who is our end investor. So if I have a investor image in my mind who is very conservative, okay, I will create a structure which will target volatility first and return next. So I think for advisors and distributors sitting in this room, it is very important that they do the research to understand the DNA of the product, and then they marry the DNA of this product with the risk profile of the investor.
Well, we are running out of time, so as we wrap up the conversation, I want to give 30 seconds to each of you and ask you, during a market correction, what is the one thing that a great mutual fund distributor or advisor can really do, which perhaps an AI algorithm cannot do for the investor?
It's clearly handling the investor's emotion. So everybody would want to buy or sell the same stock after a good news or a bad news. So that's not something which is going to help. So as a distributor, you need to guide them saying that, okay, this is not the time to take convention positive call. It is time to be cautious or take an opposite call. So that's what it.
Managing the emotions. Mayur?
So in COVID times, all an advisor had to do was to go to the client and show the price to book valuation chart of 25 years and show him when he's panicking that we are at less than 2 times price to book. That's clearly a bottom. Over 25 years, there has been only 3 or 4 times the market has gone to these levels. That's enough of perspective. You need not predict things. All you have to do is to, with simple data points, give a perspective, handhold your client, and give that comfort which only a human can give it to a human, not any algorithm or any technology.
All right, Drumil?
See, all of us today here, we are sharing a long relationship with most of our clients, retail investors. They have seen good time and bad time of market with us since last so many years. I think that is something what AI cannot replace.
All right. Manoj, final word to you.
So I have a view that not in turbulent time, but the role of an advisor, mutual fund distributor starts before that. So if my communication was strong before the turbulent time and I have communicated the right expectation, the scenario analysis, then it becomes relatively easy.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate you joining us here today.
ZFunds presents Founders Summit 2026. Media partners CNBC TV 18 and Moneycontrol.